Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to get through the morning relatively unscathed and all that fun stuff. Hopefully your trading morning went well and everything went solid for you. I know today was a bit, depending on what side of things you were on, maybe difficult, maybe really strong. Hang on, let me shut him up really quick. Thanks, Financial Juice. I appreciate you, but I'm just trying to talk for a second. Welcome to the daily afternoon market recap. We're also going to be taking a look for some scalps on the S&P and all that fun stuff, and taking a look at going over some offerings and all of that fun jazz. Over the next 30 to 60 minutes or so, we're going to cover what took place today as well, as far as patterns and trade setups that presented themselves, and that's going to be per the rules outlined in the Day Trading Academy and VIP trade plans. I'm going to talk about every setup that presented itself today, which today is totally fine. But remember, not all patterns and setups are created equal. The ones I'm going to be covering here don't use any common sense filters at all. Going long in a massive downtrend or shorting at the bottom of a range, it all is totally fine as far as the results go. Kind of get the picture. I do it really to ensure fairness of all the patterns in review so that there's no cherry picking. Don't forget, before we kick this off, smash the like button on the YouTube side of things. Let the algorithms know what's up, and heck, while you're at it, if you haven't already, subscribe and click that subscribe button and join up too so you don't miss the next video. If you want to hang out with me and the rest of the VIPs for the entire US morning session, you can register for a 1-week trial to our private VIP live trade room, and you can see how we trade the markets in real time while they're actually, moving during the US session. Open. Always fun. Trial members also have access to schedule a 30-minute call with me to discuss any questions that you've got about joining as a member and all that. And the best part is totally free. You don't need a credit card or anything like that. If you have any questions about what we offer, what we have available for you, or anything in between, we do a Q&A time after the charts and all that, so we'll definitely get you covered. So with all that out of the way, let's take a look at what happened on the NASDAQ today from a pattern perspective, from a psychological perspective, and then we'll see if we can find some setups on the S&P as well. First off, right out of the gates, we can see that today from a pattern perspective was really solid. It was a really good day for patterns. The overall setup process of just blindly closing our eyes. Remember, yesterday we were talking about it being a negative 1R with only a couple winners. Today it's a total flip-flop. They're all wins except one, so a relatively strong day. Starting out of the gates with a total trade count of 4, 3 of them being successful, 1 of them failing, for a total potential of plus 6R. If we're looking at the first setup out of the gates, going back at around 9:30. Again, those 9:30 setups are always really, really difficult, but we did have a beautiful rotation to the upside for a really fast, very, very fast, boop, boop, right in, right out, straight in, straight out, really quick. There was a quick little reset, that's the open for you, before going screaming higher, but that wasn't before already taking out a 2R for a really, really fast bounce. Once the market started screaming higher, obviously there was an incredible amount of juice in that. This was very obviously due to shorts having the rug pulled on them. We had a very nice continuation to the downside. The sellers looked like they were gaining a whole ton of control, started sliding down really aggressively, and then just as soon as it looked like the sellers were getting it, whoop! It went screaming all the way in the opposite direction. Total rug pull of the shorts. Massive squeeze to the upside. We'll get into that in a minute. We've got the next cycle back to the downside, which was a very sharp reset. Obviously, when we have this kind of rug pull, the first thought process is, well, are these earlier shorts stuck? Are they going to be looking to get out? They did, obviously. But, along with that, once they start bouncing there, is that possibly going to be the bottom? Right? Is that going to rotate all the way back and possibly even give us a new setup back to the upside, continuation, all that fun stuff? But on this big giant rip lower, this is earlier shorts stuck and shorts who are trying to sell the high for the larger daily trend. Getting that continuation down, well, with such a sharp aggressive pull, you usually get one more leg to it, which created an R1. Very, very aggressive R1. I mean, it was 1, 2. Really, really aggressive. So barely there, but there it was. The bulls tried getting a reversal back up. As we went into like the 1020, 1030 period, it started appearing as though the bulls might be gaining some ground. This might have been from the shorts exiting their trades, getting the break evens, etc. That bounce back up looked like it had some legs, but they just couldn't get it going. And then they fell flat on their face. When they fell flat on their face, that opened the door for a bounce 5 to the downside. Very, very quick 3-to-1 move lower. Barely any time at all to get in. It was a twin reversal in and right back out again. Very fast. Before catching another higher low and reversing all the way back up. This is the first one and the only loss of the morning session with VIPs. We had a bounce 4. The -1R setup here was trying to get a continuation for another strong reversal, similar to what happened over here. And good old vindictive NASDAQ just tickled the bottom, poked it out, and had its way with the rest of the rally to the upside. Now, today is probably one of the most vindictive days that I think I've experienced in a long time, because like I was talking about this rug pull where a lot of shorts got stuck, yeah, I was one of them. Now, luckily, the S&P offered up the ability for the hedge moves and everything to compensate for a lot of it, but today was not an easy day at all. You'll notice all of the orders trying to get my average to the upside to make it fit, having to eat losses along the way. It was no fun this morning from the perspective outside of patterns. If all you were focused on today was patterns, it was easy peasy. Well, not easy, I hate that term, simple. But the psychological side of things, man, that was just a kick in the teeth. Welcome to trading sometimes, you know. This big rug pull swept a lot of traders out, and with that move up, they're going to be trying to get the cycle back down. In this case, it actually cycled very far down for more momentum, but all of those moves along the way offered up some nice little opportunities, and now we come into today's, where we are now. Little bit, like, here's the thing, right? If we're looking at the NASDAQ in the grand scheme of things, what did it really do? It hasn't done anything. It's just gone sideways. We got a big range on the low. We poked our heads above the highs, poked our heads above the lows, and now we're back up to the highs. It's just a big megaphone is all it is. If we look at it from a 60-minute perspective and kind of see what's going on, obviously, like we were talking about with the morning prep and YouTube members and all that, we had this 5-wave cycle to the upside, nice pullback back to the downside. We're looking for that 1-to-1 ABCD correction. It hasn't happened yet. Now, the one thing that stands out is actually very similar to what took place over here. Wave 2 was disgusting. I mean, it was like, is this the high? Maybe this is the high, or maybe that. I don't know. It got really nasty in here. Same thing is happening here for Wave 2. Now, it's Wave 2 with the assumption that this becomes an impulse leg to the downside. But you can kind of see the potential threat here. We are on the major balance point for the NASDAQ. This is Wave 4's previous structural low. Right here is where longs are looking for continuation, and they've not been shy about it either. That said, we don't necessarily have too much proof yet on the 15-minute perspective that the bulls are taking over. In fact, the POC is still at 16,300. It's right in the middle. So, I mean, good luck. You know, they've definitely got their work cut out for them. Looking at the S&P, at least, a little bit of a different scenario here for a potential on this widening out and really exemplifying what in the heck is going on. Because the S&P's got this first drive down. We've got this beautiful ABCD corrective phase right to the bottom of Wave 4. Picture perfect bounce. And then just right into a wall. It's like non-existent. Nobody showed up to the party and it fell right through. Then all of those buyers started turning into sellers. They started getting out at break even and rotating it back lower. And now we're kind of off to the races thinking, wait a minute, is this a 5-wave new impulse to the downside? This might have some juice in it, right? If this is really going to start running lower, we don't really have any support until, what, like 4,004, my clock's in the way, hang on. 44.24? All the way down to 43.20. There's a lot of space, but we can see, I mean, the bulls aren't done trying yet. They're still giving it a shot. What a mess. What a mess. Let's see if we can get the S&P to offer up anything a little bit less vindictive this afternoon. Looking at what's been going on so far, we've got a really, really strong continuation phase to the upside. My data is not right. Okay, that's fantastic. Perfect. Data's working as expected. Okay, what about if we switch markets? MES? Wonderful. Okay. That's fun. What about a totally different market? Crude oil? Okay, my data's just messed up. Wonderful. Well, I didn't really want to spend the afternoon having to deal with bugs, but I mean, as far as the overall perspective is concerned, we know what's going on. We've had the overall rotation, even with the weirdness in the middle there. We've got a really strong rotation continuation to the upside, but it's starting to look like maybe 2 legs up. We're right around that completionary zone. They're having some difficulty. Looking for sellers to possibly push back a little bit. From the NASDAQ perspective, it's got a nice rotation down. We've got a potential of maybe a megaphone, not so much a channel anymore. Still got a little bit of time left here. See if the S&P wants to offer up anything. It looks as though the shorts are trying to take this move over, and the bulls have tried to come in for that sweep higher. Let me try one quick thing here to see if I can fix my data on Ninja. Give me 2 seconds here. Let me get this. Sometimes if you go into NinjaTrader 8's folder, and this is something where you'll have to deal with on occasion, but if you go into the NinjaTrader 8 folder under DB, and then go under the cache, delete everything, go under the day, there's nothing in there, go under, don't delete the messages, go under minute, delete everything under minute, go under replay, delete anything if you have replay data, go under tick, delete all that, get rid of all the junk, reload NinjaTrader back up again. And see if we can get this bad boy going. All right. Now, when we first load back up, I just cleared out all of NinjaTrader's data. So because we just cleared out all of Ninja's data, obviously my charts are totally empty. There's nothing on there. So we're going to have to wait for Ninja to reload again. It's going to take a second here, but it shouldn't take too terribly long, hopefully. Don't forget to get Coinbase going too. There we go. All right. Give this a second to load up. We can see some data loading. That's good. Did that fix the problem? No. All right. Fantastic. I don't know what the heck's going on. My Ninja's being goofy. I'll reload later, see if it fixes it. I don't know what's happening. All right. Well, ignoring that funky little gap inside there, I guess. Let's just get that off the screen. We've got a nice little rotation to the upside. Obviously, a very, very nice little trap underneath the lows, and it's just a bull rally straight up from there. The big question here, now that it's been going up so far, is, well, where is everybody, right? Are the traders responding to this as from the impulse perspective in the middle, at the top? What's going on? And we can see that their POC on the initial impulse, it's only up to this first high here, is balanced out at 45.78. So if sellers were taking this to the downside, are they filling their objectives? Well, the first time around, they missed it by a couple ticks. Man, I know that feeling. Came back up, double topped on the highs, did not break the high. And now all of a sudden we're seeing support off of the 1-to-1 and scalpers targets, all backing each other, right? So it's kind of showing like, oh, the sellers were finally thrown a bone, and now that bone is being very quickly taken away again. This balance point right here is super interesting, 45.78 for the bulls to try to reclaim this, especially noting how much the bears tried to get this bear move down. They even tried trapping the bulls. And now possibly failing, that's going to be a real big problem for them. On the NASDAQ, we're just kind of hovering around, starting to rotate down a little bit further. My lines are not in the same place that they were. There we go. All right, the S&P is attempting to get a bullish rotation back to the upside, really strong bull bar. There is a lot of resistance up here, right? There's a lot of resistance up here. If we go all the way across and see where the POC lands, it's right there at 45.80, which it just closed above. I'd like to see it pull back to it at least to try to grab it around the 80s or possibly even just a bit further down. I'm sure there are some stuck shorts that would like to get out at around 77.50, but 80 is the first area of interest. Offsets would be down at 79. See if they can get a little bit of a pop back to the upside here. Now, as far as the bulls are really looking for, or as far as they're concerned, they're really just looking for ways in that have a reduced risk. They don't want to have to deal with, all of this downside risk underneath. So they're likely utilizing stops underneath a more recent low, which may or may not be a good thing. Hovering right around the target, but not quite getting the bounce. Testing the target, but no fill. There we go. S&P's got that nice little scalp to the upside. Beautiful rotation right back off 45.80 for a lot more. Really nice bounce back to the upside. And there's the point of day. Woo! I love it. Got it on lock. We've got more continuation back up, though. 45.80 bulls will be looking for a continuation through probably the 85, 75s, or 86. Once it starts getting up there, it might get a little more concerning. Would really love to see the bulls pound through that. Got 115 just kind of hanging out. Market offering up a nice little pullback scalp for bulls to bounce back up. See what they want to do from here. Looking back at the bigger picture on the well, I don't know if my data is right on this anymore, but still the POC is back up at the 16,300s, and we really don't have anything else to work with. What a mess inside here. Jeez. S&P dipping back to the 45.80s, trying to get something going there. Sellers are trying to take back over. That balance point's too strong right now. See how the bulls want to support it. Maybe they can offer up a little bit of a deeper pullback. The rest of the support's likely going to be a bit further down. 76 quarter is going to be a bit more interesting. That's where the rest of the support's coming in. But the concern here is that it tends to slide through these areas pretty aggressively. So buying directly on 76 quarter might work, in hindsight, 5-6 candles later, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have to deal with a big old wick first. So it might be more beneficial to see if we can try to get greedy on our entries and try to grab some of these. Looking back, when they left behind this big gap, that one was eaten up pretty nicely. They had a negative gap here. That one was also slammed. So we have the next negative gap, if they're going to keep that correlation going, would be down here at 45.64 on the S&P. Now, the thing is, that's really far away. And if the bulls are going to hold this as a support zone, then, their risk has got to be underneath 45, 46, 75, or underneath a little swing at 57. Man, not making it very easy as far as the larger scalps and swings and such. Especially with this much bullish pressure to the upside. Wow. Let's see what they want to do here. Now, if you're sitting here and you're looking at the screen having absolutely zero ideas to what I'm doing, don't forget, check out the Day Trading Academy. It's got 19 plus hours of video course material to show you why I'm doing what I'm doing, and more to the point, why the market's doing what it's doing. Make sure to check that out if you're looking for a trade plan or a video course material to get you pointed in the right direction. Sellers trying to maintain the pressure. If we look at the NASDAQ, the more recent cycle to the downside was based off of an L5. Really dirty, too. They held an L4, came back to the 1, rejected, bounced off the L5 all the way back down. Really messy. Finally breaks down into a new low. And generally speaking with that, you're looking for that bounce 5 to give some resistance around the 2s. And, I mean, to be fair, sure, there was some resistance around the 2s, but it didn't break back down. So a lot of sellers are going to be kind of disappointed, especially around the L2 entry point. So if we look at it from that perspective and say, well, we know that the bears are disappointed, but if they were entering directly on top of the L2, and then I'll get rid of this just so we can see it. Let's see where they would be looking if they were to have, obviously, if they had their stop above 16,007, they got stopped out. If it was above 13, they got stopped out. But how about the traders that had a stop above 48? If their entry point was right there, have they been satisfied from a scalper's perspective to their targets? They have not. There is a huge amount of support down here that the market seems to be having a really difficult time getting through. What better spot to poke down really quick to for a fast rejection back up? That is, of course, assuming that the market's ready and poised to go back to the upside. The sellers are trying to take over, after all. And we are coming off of the top of really almost perfect test on the wedge. There's some caveats. Market's rotating its way down. The S&P is closing underneath the POC at 45.80 and demonstrating resistance now. The bulls were trying to get it going. No such luck. Now they're out of the way, and sellers possibly even triggering underneath them. That last bear bar did not close underneath that base point, which would have been really nice. It did close underneath the POC, which is super helpful. We'll see if they're able to maybe get a bit more follow-through and continue this down. This is kind of the slide. This could very easily, there's 3 minutes left, turn into a big wick at the end of the candle. So I do like this to try to reach out and grab this dip. Maybe they can get down here. Down to those 70 quarters. That'd be wild. It's going to be a little bit more on the aggressive side, though, because realistically, we're in a situation where the only other spot would be down in the 45.64s, and that's untested. This one has been tested, this one's not. I really want this 70 quarter to fill like on this candle within the next probably minute and a half. I want it to slide relatively quickly down to the target area and then basically immediately bounce right back up again. So let's see if they can get a slide down to retest that gap for a quick bounce. 70 quarter is that area. Not quite. Still 2 minutes left. I'll give them another minute 10-ish. If they start putting too much pressure down at the end of the candle, my concern would be that it closes incredibly bearish, and I no longer want to be along into that, right? So they're going to have to dip down there in the next 20, 30 seconds here. Nice little bounce test on that zone. Tested the target, but did not fill. Nice secondary pulse through the lows. And again, the next zone is going to be down in the 63.75, so 59 quarter. No, stop! There. Stupid thing. My menu thing popped up in my way when I was trying to exit the trade. So I flubbed the exit there. I was trying to get them both out at break even. The stupid properties window was my own fault. But nice little pop back up there. Got that little bounce. See if we can get a little dive down into 64. See what they want to do. Get some bounces going on. Beautiful continuation bounces. A little bit irritating as to how that went about, but I think I accidentally double-clicked a drawing. I don't know what popped up, but next little pulse is going to be down at the 45.64. So the problem is they just opened up a new bar. And if they just opened up a new candle, then we're dealing with a situation that this could follow up with another really strong bear bar down. There's some potential candle gapping to the downside. There's stuff in the way. So we'll see what they want to do. But right now it seems like they're having a little bit of a tough time. See if they want to divulge away from this low. If this is nothing more than just a little, explosive trap like we've been talking about. They've got some big slides, but this didn't turn into a big wick. There's a big old body on that thing, so they're going to have to take something back. Right now the bears are kind of gaining some emphasis. If you're not yet a member of SSFTG and you're looking for a way to get in the room with me during the U.S. morning session, we operate the VIP room from 9 in the morning until 12 for the U.S. Stock Exchange Open and all that fun stuff. Check out the free trial. There's a week trial that you can sign up for, and when you sign up, you also get a free 30-minute call, so you can talk about any questions or anything you have. All 3 VIP packages come with live trade room access built into them. It's just part of the package, and there's no monthly fees or anything. It's just part of VIP, so you don't have to worry about any of those monthly fees or anything like that. But that's the easiest way to get in during the U.S. morning session with us. Got some supportive nature coming off of the half, right? Half? Yeah, half DP. But remember, this is a half DP that's supposed to be a resistance, not support. A little bit awkward in how it's approaching it there. The candle gap is still open on the S&P. It's right there, but is there any room for it to fill? Actually, yeah, right at the bottom. Are you kidding? Wow, really? Okay, so the candle gap target is exactly the line that's already there. Don't have to add anything. Perfect. That adds a huge amount of emphasis on that area. Remember, though, we've been seeing this be a whippy, slippy, choppy, sloppy, gross area, and realistically, the wick zone of support is going to be a bit deeper. There's a lot of things of completion down here, but it makes more sense to see it possibly dig into the zone a little bit further. 2 minutes left on the candle. They've got this open candle gap, which is kind of hovering in the middle, downside objectives, which is exactly at 64, the previous negative gap they had between these two bars. POC is ratcheted up at the top. If we look at the POC as a measurement to see if there's any proof as to whether or not traders are taking profit at logical points of interest, like scalp targets, or 1-to-1 targets, or perhaps 2-to-1 targets, that really solidifies what's happening here. And the fact that we're getting really strong bounces off of all of those are very suggestive that shorts may have actually given this a shot. Really nice downside targets would be inside there. So if we can line that up with their downside targets, that fits even better. Their downside 3-to-1's here, which is kind of a bummer. Or 2-to-1 rather. The 3-to-1 is in the zone right there. That's going to be the one of interest, a little bit lower. So if we kind of catalog that zone right there, come on, stupid thing. That's the hot pocket. So far, we've got an inside bull bar, but they've got a minute left. They may be able to get something done. Get that last minute blow off into the bottom. Honestly, now that there's only 40 seconds left, it really wouldn't hurt my feelings at all to see buyers dive down into these, maybe not necessarily the 64s in and of themselves, but somewhere down here. I'd like to see that pulse first. See if they can get a little bit of a push. Okay. Inside bear bar. Kind of. What a train wreck of a candle that is. Lovely. All right. Well, guess we'll give it a second. They do, I mean, technically speaking, right, there is still candle gapping to the downside. The downside objectives are still open. If we're looking at this from a supportive wedge structure, they've got a little more to the downside to go. I mean, we can see the hot spots down here. Let's see if they can get a little pulse. NASDAQ also in a nice heavy drive to the downside. All right, ES, 4 minutes left. I want to see him dig into the zone a little bit, preferably. The candle gap's gotten like one tick away from completion. NASDAQ's down towards the lows. I guess of the megaphone, for lack of whatever else that could be. Possibly a channel, maybe? Eesh. Really, S&P? You're going to miss it by 3 ticks. I guess 3's better than 1. 1's a lot of salt in the wound. 3 at least makes me feel a little better. So far, a couple nice scalps this afternoon, but that's really about it. Kind of indicative on that last little dip. Going on 1:30. If you have any questions or any markets that you want me to cover for you, or any charts or anything like that, feel free to drop them in. I can take a look at those for you. I missed it by 3 ticks. Really? Alright, really strong continuation back up. There's still 2 minutes left with a nice bear conviction to the downside, re-challenging this candle gap zone. So this candle gap zone, this whole area up here in the 74s, this is a zone that sellers may try to pressure back on. But, I mean, do we really want to tempt fate? That looks like we're just asking for trouble. That said, that is a zone of sellers' contempt. They'll try to push back against that. Looks like they're knocking it down a little bit. Oh boy, this candle might be closing kind of fun looking. Hearing some crickets coming back in. Chirp, chirp, chirp into the ceiling. NASDAQ bulls lifting back to the upside. Let me turn on my my tick strike for... I'll turn on my tick strike for the S&P as well. ES. ES. Put that over here. Right down there. Good. S&P bulls attempting to break into that candle gap. The completionary zone would be at 77.50. There is 50 seconds left on the candle, which for an overextensive candle to the upside, that would be probably the more beneficial zone for sellers to push back. But still, I mean, it's already worked a couple times, to be fair. I just don't want to necessarily be shorting in a market that looks like this right now. I would have loved to have bought down there. Sellers trying to follow through for a bit more continuation. on the NASDAQ. They just rejected off of the L5 and then off of an L3. That L3 did finally follow through with a 1, and now we're getting a deeper corrective phase once again. The L1 sellers just got buried. So, I mean, we can definitely see that the bulls are trying to get something going on a reversal scale. Really, really strong bull bar to the upside. Bull engulfing candle showing some potential for the buyers to get some ups. Given how whippy, slippy, choppy, sloppy this thing is, I would rather see it dip down to the 70s. I think there's enough back and forth to get a slip down to 70. At least within the next few minutes. Maybe towards the end of the candle, I'm not going to be so impressed. But if there's still, 2 minutes left on the candle, there's more than enough time for it to slide down there and fill. Hearing some NASDAQ selling pressure coming in. They still have 4 minutes left on the candle, so they've still got time. If it starts getting down to like a minute and a half, though, probably too late. I need an early dip. 3.5 minutes is still early enough. Three minutes left on the bar. Still got time. Sooner than later, though. Perfect time of the day, 13:37. We've got bulls attempting to get continuation. There's 2.5 minutes left on the bar. I'll give him another minute. I'll give him another minute to get that dip. If they start taking much longer than that, though, I'm going to lose some interest. This is starting to move away from being an early dip. All right, a little bit more bullish momentum to the upside. Back up towards the POC. All right, well, I didn't get the dip that I wanted. Real bummer, but if they can close a strong bull bar, anything underneath the open of this current bar is going to be a nice zone of interest. Still hearing a bunch of news about the stopgap stuff. We've been hearing that all morning. That and Yellen and FOMC members testifying all day. Oh, man. Bull engulfing bar to the upside, trying to get things going. They've got a minute left on this candle. I would really love them to close it nice and strong. We'll see. Little more continuation going on. We're going into 140, so let's get keep looking for a couple more scalps here, but let's go into some final questions and get those taken care of. More bullish momentum kind of kicking off. going on, and I don't necessarily plan, I never really turn that because I love crypto, but right now, if you noticed on the front page of SSFTG, if you're looking up to joining as a member, right now you can get up to 12% off if you make the purchase with crypto. Using Crowcoin is 12%, everything else is 10%. You get a really nice discount depending on what you're looking to sign up for. So make sure to check that out. If you're a big crypto hodler and have been for a long time, you can use it for something. There's always that. Moving into the new age, baby. If you're looking for a more budget-friendly approach too, don't forget we also have payment plans as low as $84 a month that span out to 12 months, along with the 1-week trial and everything else. So a lot of different ways, especially going into the holiday season. Budget-friendly is all friendly. Kids are getting expensive, man. See if you can get a little bit of a dip down here to the 73.50s. Got a bit of a negative gap, though. 74 might be more interesting. See if you can grab a nice little dip down into the 74s for a possible bounce. And of course, when you sign up as a VIP, you also get the VIP Plus. With the VIP Plus and VIP Elite packages, you get the APM Plus. I know a lot of pluses in there, right? That allows you to create a safety net, so something you can rely on if something goes south in your trading. Not to mention that you gain rewards along the way the longer you hold on to it and don't use it. So even if you don't ever end up needing it later on down the road, nice vacation looking pretty spicy with the family. You can celebrate your trading a different way too. A lot of awesome options. Of course, if you need any info about becoming a member or anything else, you can shoot me a message, jhb@ssftg.com. When you register for a trial as well, you get a 30-minute call with me. If you have any questions, we can talk about them there too. So either way, we can get you taken care of. Seeing a little bit more of a dip. S&P getting close. 74 is right around that area. They've got 3 minutes left on the bar. They just rejected the POC. I'm going to hold off on this one. I'm going to cancel this one. I don't like the way that rejected off the POC. I don't like the amount of bear pressure that's coming in. And the fact that they rejected so strongly, there's a chance that they could slide back down to the 70s. It's not going to be worth the risk. It's going to be a low-sided buy, but it's going to be a tough one. Might be more beneficial a little bit lower down in the 70s, and then we're getting a little bit too late in the afternoon session. 2.5 minutes left. Oh, this is super awkward. If there was like 3.5 or 4 minutes left, different story. 2. Ooh, that's right there. That's real close. Got some negative gapping from close to open on this candle as well.
So Biden just currently speaking on his COVID-19 winter plan. Not too much new from the press conference the other day. Just says that the plan does pull no punches and that he expects the new COVID-19 measures to get bipartisan support.
Okay, so Biden talking about COVID stuff. Although it's not anticipated to have a response, we know what happened the last time they said it wasn't supposed to have a response. It's Murphy's Law, right? It shouldn't do anything. It goes 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's just how it works. Anyway, I'm not really seeing anything else that I want to sink my teeth into, and this candle's too late in it, and yeah, now we're getting too close to the end of the hour. Time to call it quits as we get closer into 2 o'clock. Like I said, we do have our 1-week trial available on the main page of SSFTG. If you're looking to hang out with us during the U.S. morning session, we open the room for VIPs from 9 a.m. to 12 for lunchtime. And then we come back here on YouTube every day at 1300 Eastern, where we go over the trade setups for the day, take a look at how things went from a pattern perspective. Today was a very good day as far as patterns are concerned, a positive 6R day. Although if you were trading psychologically inside there, might have been a little bit of a different story. But either way, that's going to do it. Like I said, if you have any questions about becoming a member, if you need any info, or you have any charts that you want me to cover for you, or any trade setups you have questions about, or anything in between, feel free to shoot me a message, jhb@ssftg.com. I can help you out from there. That's going to do it, though. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope you had a fantastic morning session. The afternoon allowed a couple scalps inside there, so we got the job done. We'll see if we can roll back on Friday and keep that ball rolling. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you all back at 1300 Eastern tomorrow, all right? Talk to you all later. Thanks.